Hey there, greetings, glorious beings. If this is your first time, welcome. Thanks for entrusting me to break your virginity with me. And if you're coming back, halala, welcome back. So, in today's episode, which is episode 20, titled 8 Million Gods, I thought it would just be fun to share a couple of stories with you in regard to that sentence. So, if you are unfamiliar with the term or reference to 8 million gods, I'm sure that will ruffle a couple of feathers. But if this video has found you and you are watching me, I am sure that you are open minded enough to hear the beauty of where that phrase or where that saying actually comes from. So, it's actually a Japanese or Shinto phrase representing a countless or infinite number of spirits rather than literal 8 million, signifying that deities or kami, gods as they're known, inhabit all things, including nature, objects, and concepts. This belief stems from Shinto culture, which believes both good or bad, everything exists within spirits and it exists in everything from the sun and the trees to everyday items like hair clips. So I became familiar with this term, and I hope I'm not, I hope I can do it justice. The Japanese pronunciation is Yaoyorozu no Kami. So apologies if I bastardized that, but I thought I would at least give it a go. It's such a beautiful term, and I love the Japanese culture. On my vision board and on one of my goals is definitely to visit the wonderful country of Japan. But I became familiar with this phrase. We were watching a movie called Rental Family, highly recommended. In fact, our entire family really enjoyed it, based off a modern day concept of how I guess that whole emotional aspect and how we connect emotionally with each other was brought through in a very different light and in a very different and original story. And it's all about this gentleman who has a business where he rents out these people who pretend to be a reporter or boss or even your wife or your husband. So it really depends on what the job description is that's required. It's very deep and it's just so culturally informative. I really, really did enjoy it. I'd highly recommend you watch Rental Family. And it is based and set in Japan and based on a big portion or the premise of Japanese culture and what goes on within that space and place. So this term, 8 million gods, actually came from that movie, or when I became aware of this term. And it piqued my curiosity, and I went to investigate a little bit further. And essentially, it taps into the aspect and element that absolutely everything that you see within the physical or the material or immaterial, the unseen or the seen world is stemming from God, because all things stem from God. Even Lucifer, Satan, all originate from God. So I wanted to share a story which actually tied so beautifully into this wonderful saying, perhaps two stories. The first story was when my second born son was around 4 years old, and we were at the ocean, and we had literally just gone into the ocean, and I was holding him on my arm. I will never forget. It's one of those memories that I hold dear in my heart. And he just so randomly turned to me and he's like, "Mom, where is God?" And I was like, wow, what if like we're definitely not a religious family. Spirituality or the belief that something exists and resides outside is definitely we subscribe to it, absolutely. But I can't say that we don't go to church, we don't, I guess, practice religious rituals or elements in that sense. At least we didn't at the time. And we try to keep it as neutral as possible and guide our children in ways that we believe are as aligned with goodness within their heart as possible, but without any dogma, because ultimately, yes, we trust that they will find the right path and the right way if we just, nudge them gently, but without it being persecution. I come from a Catholic background. I think I'll just stop it right there. So, but yes, back to the story. So here was my 4-year-old, and we were in the ocean, and he says to me, "Mommy, where is God?" And I was like, "Wow, this guy, he's 4, and like I don't even know where he got this from." And I just thought, what would be just the most accurate, honest, and authentic answer to give him, without saying there's a person up in the sky and they're judging you, and if you sin, you'll go to hell, without any of those dogmatic belief systems, I guess, that some hold and some have learned to disown. So yes, I just turned to him, and we were in the ocean, and I was just like, well, what better place to answer this little guy than being exactly in God. So that's exactly what I said to him. I said, my boy, we are in God and with God right now. God is the ocean. God is the sun. God is the air. God is the clouds that we see up in the sky. God is the sky. God is everywhere and in everything. And I felt very easily called to just share that with him. So that was just such a beautiful story. And it did make me think to how it's obviously in direct correlation with the 8 million gods philosophy or belief that the Shinto people follow in Japan. And the second aspect and element which I really feel is worthwhile sharing is how I've had many experiences where I have felt very connected to Source or to God or to the divine or to the universe, whatever you subscribe to. As I've shared before, words are just human constructs, so it's more a feeling than a word. But I guess the second story that maybe I wish to share with you is, and as I say that, I just remember another, which I'm going to have to add. So three stories, okay? Stuff the two, let's get to 3. So when I was a little girl, I was 5 years old, I never forget this, and we had just watched Karate Kid. So I think it's fitting since this is a Japanese phrase. I was 5 years old, and I was having just finished watching the Karate Kid. I was like, no, so inspired. I was like Mr. Miyagi's student, even though I wasn't in it. So I was very inspired. And I remember getting on my bed and like kicking the wall with my leg. Wow, let me tell you, I went full out, okay? I kicked that wall so hard that I literally heard my ankle do something. The agony and the pain that ensued was off the charts. Okay, it was off the charts. And I remember for a moment thinking to myself, what if I just have to pray to God? Maybe God will take this pain away. And call it what you want. I'm sure there's many skeptics out there, but I guess it's why it holds such a special place in my heart, because I know how real it was, because I experienced it. And I remember getting down on my hands and knees, being a good Catholic girl at the time. And just putting my hands together and on the edge of my bed, just like all those pretty pictures that you see in all those books. And I just remember praying, God, please, please take away this pain from my foot. Please, God, please. And I promise you, within a couple of, it felt like literally instantaneously, but within a couple of moments, that pain was gone, like nothing. There was no bruising, there was no pain, there was no nothing. So I thought that story was worthwhile sharing, and it's something that I will never forget for the rest of my life. And it has also fostered and reminded me of, my purpose or my gifts, or the experiences that I've been fortunate enough to have in my life. And this wasn't the first miracle in my life. In fact, it went on to be, there were many more. In fact, I almost died as a child when I was very young. When I was a couple of months old, I literally almost passed. But that's for another day. So yes, the third story that I would like to share in relation to how God is in everything is how I reflect to a meditation retreat that I went on in 2019, so quite a number of years ago. And it was to learn Vipassana meditation. So if you have ever gone on a 10-day silent retreat somewhere in the mountains to learn Vipassana, you definitely know what I'm talking about. It's an extremely intense form of meditation in terms of just stilling the mind and almost dissecting the brain and reprogramming belief systems and sitting with whatever arises within you, and keep focusing on the sensations with the body through the breath and through just scanning of the body. But at this particular retreat center, in this particular time in good old 2019, I never forget, it must have probably been around on the 6th day of me being there. And you meditate for a full 12 hours of the day. And I think it was around after we had just braked for a small lunch. And I remember going back into the center for meditation. And it was just the most profound connection that I had. And I remember experiencing such connection to the mountains that we were literally sitting within. We were surrounded by these beautiful mountains in the Cederberg in Cape Town, South Africa. And I literally, there's no other way to say this, but like viscerally within every single cell and fiber of my being, I felt I was the mountain. And that was such a powerful day for me, because I was so in tune with my power and with my presence and with my grace and with the aspect of my godliness in that specific moment in particular. And I'm so grateful for that experience, and so grateful for my connection to Mother Nature and Mother Earth in that aspect and in that way. At the same retreat, towards, it was the very last day, we were packing up and leaving to go. We went and we were asked to please take all our linen that we had used, or whatever we had used, to a space or a room, and the door was closed. And I remember having my hands so full of linen. I mean, I couldn't even open the door because it was just jam-packed. And the door was like a little bit ajar. And I just remember going, oh, I would really appreciate some help. And I swear, yes, the wind came. It was the wind. The wind came and just blew the door open for me, but like very gently, just like, here we go. You asked for it to be opened, and here it is. I'm opening it for you. And that was also just something that I will never forget ever, because I literally could feel that the wind was helping me and speaking and communicating with me. So that was very special, and I will hold that experience in my heart forever. I trust I will return to beautiful Dharmapataka in the Cederberg Mountains for another 10, it feels like, I think it's more like 12 days of silence and introspection and connection to the Almighty and to Source and to the Divine. But yes, I just thought it was worthwhile sharing today, and it was something I wanted to share with the aspect of 8 million gods, and how just beautiful God is in absolutely everything, even in the things that we deem to be bad. And that perhaps takes a little bit more time to digest and process. but ultimately God is here to experience the fullness of everything. And it's a reminder for us to also experience the fullness of everything without judgment, without prejudice, without condemnation. Yes, I'm sure there are some things that maybe we shouldn't try, or perhaps we should. I mean, I don't know actually. I really don't know anymore. But yes, I definitely don't try everything. But I also wish to open my heart to being a little bit more adventurous and trusting that all magical things that are meant to find me will find me, and all the things that are here to assist in my expansion and my growth and me tapping into my essence and beingness and illuminating my individuated soul and being and magical light will find me and help me radiate and become more iridescent and blossom and bloom in all shapes, way, and forms. Because yes, we are because of God, but God is also because of us. So as much as God is the creator, we are also the creatrix or the creators of God's world. So yes, beautiful being, it's 16:26 on the clock, and I would just like to wish you a magical day further. Remember to continue to sow those seeds, to allow for the fluidity and flow of life to find you, so that you may continue to grow and ultimately illuminate and glow. Stay wondrous, stay magical, and I'll see you tomorrow for episode 21. Peace out.